they'll go out now, and it's an even start from the 2 on the front row. This time they head off up to Riches. It's Charles Hall with his nose in front. Yes, it is. He sweeps through into the lead at Riches corner, ahead of Leon Morel there in second place. And so Morel in second. It looks like it's the car in third place of Alistair Smart. And fourth, Doug Carter, making a better start to the race this time. There's Stephen Bell in the 86 car and Andrew Gordon in the 60 car doing battle for, I think, 8th position there, as the cars make their way round the infield section on this opening lap of the race.
Yeah, that's right. And Hall going off hot this time. So have they made some changes to that car which will bring it on stronger in the first part, unlike race 1? So he's trying to put some space between himself and Liam Moran. He's absolutely doing it. This is very different to race 1 on lap 1. There's Alistair Smart and Doug Carter in the Radical PR6s, the central seat Radical from 10 years ago or so. But a big old lead for Hall up front. Who's behind? We've got Phil Brown there in 5th. Stephen Larkham, the Northern Irishman, in 6th position. But yeah, this is a very large lead for Charles Hall. This is bigger than he had in the whole of the first race, Ian.
It certainly is. So he's started out with intent this time. He's pulled out a good gap already from Leon Morel in second place, who's seemingly not able to stay with him. Alistair Smart third, Doug Carter fourth, and 5th and 6th together. 2 red cars, Philip Brown in the SR3 and Stephen Larkham with the PR6. The driver that's a regular race winner at Kirkstone in Northern Ireland. They make their way through the left-hander, out of it now and onto the centre straight once again. 10-second penalty for Mark Grayson there, which presumably is for an out-of-position start. So Mark Grayson getting penalised. Where was he due to start? Behind Ben Scriven, so I suspect he might have just moved into the spot ahead of him, which was left vacant on the grid.
A little bit unfortunate then, really, perhaps. Change for 5th we had into Ritchie's. Steve Larkham got past Phil Brown, so that's a pretty good going for Stephen Larkham. There he is. You can see him ahead of Philip Brown. We saw him at Anglesey, Larkham, where he got a 5th, I think. He had a 6th earlier, but he's into 5th now again, ahead of Brown in what is now 6th position. He's had a podium this season, which also was at Anglesey, I think. There's Smart and Carter, Doug Carter in P4. He was racing at Castle Coombe a couple of weeks ago as well. But he's been around the Bikesports paddock for a long time now, Ian, Doug Carter.
Yes, he has, and RGB before that, so a long time 750 Motor Club member and competitor. Good to see him taking part as often as he does with 750 Motor Club. So there's Larkham, number 93.
Is he catching those in front, perhaps?
We'll have to have a look at the lap times this time around. Interesting to see, of course, this is the first flying lap of the race. They've been on the rolling start, of course, on the first lap. There's Larkham, as the leader already is crossing the finish line in front of us, and Charles Hall is streaking clear of Leon Morel. Pulled out another 3/4 of a second that lap, so the gap is nearly 3.5 seconds from first to second. And then it's another 7 seconds plus back to Alistair Smart in third place. In terms of Larkham and Carter, well, Larkham did take 3/10 out of Carter that time.
Yeah, so this is pretty impressive from Stephen Larkham in this 2009 Radical PR6 with the Hayabusa engine, built by RLM Racing. There's Carter, who he is chasing, similar car, the PR6, as does Alistair Smart, who is third. Now, is Phil Brown further behind than he should be? And is he slow? Yes.
Yes, he's got a problem, hasn't he?
So he is the driver that came into the weekend 5th in the championship and 2nd of the Class Bs. But he may not score any points in this race unless he can work out what the problem is.
Yes, he will likely just pick up the point for starting the race that drivers will get. But I suspect he's not going to make it to the finish. He's probably just coasting it round to the pit lane at this stage. See, there is a tyre scuff on the left-hand side of the car. Whether that was from earlier in this race or the previous race, I'm not quite sure. But you can see that against the driver's number 11 on the side of his car. It's partly obscured by a black tyre mark. Looks like Philip ran out of the race, I'm afraid.
So that will promote Kenzie Beecroft up to second in Class B and Steve Bell up to third. Meanwhile, Charles Hall continues on. He's not going particularly quickly. It's Liam Morrell in the early stages hasn't got the pace. So has he tried a different setup on that Radical SR3? Is it going to come stronger in the second half, or are we not going to get the type of race we had in race one? Because Liam Morrell claimed that he had more pace in race one. If Charles Hall wasn't directly ahead of him, he could have gone quicker, but that's the case now. So we shall see if Liam Morrell can close. The two of them way out in front. From now, a battle for third place, because Alistair Smart all of a sudden has been caught by Doug Carter. Doug Carter, who is there in fourth position. He's been on the podium once this season, which came last time out at Croft. Can he do anything about Alistair Smart and get another podium to his name this season in the overall order? Into Agostini is right there then with Smart, who's been a part of the Bikesports Championship for a few seasons now, the driver from Hampshire, who started off racing in Magnificent Sevens but more recently in prototypes. And he won the Burkitt Relay a couple of years ago on scratch, and he was the Class A champion last year. Not sure he's going to be able to repeat that feat this season, with Charles Hall picking up the wins in Class A. But the pair are having a good battle, and perhaps Steve Larkham will be able to join into that as well before much longer. Good to see these radical PR6s finding a home with the Bikesports Championship and finding each other to race against too.
Yeah, nice cars to look at. Very rapid cars as well, pretty lightweight. Obviously they've got this central seat driving position, which is shared of course by the Mittel that leads the race of Charles Hall. So Smart in third position, through Coram he goes with Doug Carter behind him. A bit of a gap back to Stephen Larkham now, who was about 1.2 seconds behind Carter at the start of the lap, but that might have stretched a little bit now. Leon Morell's just done the best lap of the race, a 151.71. Best lap in the race was a 150.52, so some way off that mark, but Morell has got the lead down to Charles Hall to less than 3 seconds now.
Doug Carter challenging for third into the hairpin at Wilson. Alistair Smart had that one covered, I think. He did. So he hangs on ahead for now in his RJ Motorsport prepared Radical PR6 with another 1340cc Hayabusa engine. But engine problems down at Valor Racing for Phil Brown.
Yeah, they've got the engine cover off the back of the car there. Taking a look, see if there is anything that they can do to get him back out into the race to pick up some points maybe, and make sure the car's running strongly to the end. But it's a nice little fight this, isn't it, for third, fourth and fifth between the PR6s. Smart, Carter and Larkham, they turn their way through Oggies now, on towards Williams and then the Bentley Straight once again. Very evenly matched, these three. In race one it was Smart third, Carter fifth and Larkham sixth. Phil Brown was the interloper in his Class B car into that battle early on, but as we've seen, he's in the pit lane now. A long gap back then from Larkham to Kenzie Beecroft, who's in sixth place and second in Class B as things stand. Yeah,
he's 4 seconds ahead of Steve Bell. Kenzie Beecroft making his debut in Bikesports. Meanwhile, the leaders go through, and Charles Hall's fought back with the lap times. He's done a new best, a 151.49, so extends that lead out to over 3 seconds. Now, for third was Smart a little wide out of Murray's. Well, it's not held him back too much. And they blast across the line. Less than a second between the three of them. Sort of reminiscent of radical challenge races of the early 2010s with PR6s, taking the centre stage. Former Radical boss Phil Abbott, he started out racing with the 750 Motor Club, I think, in a Radical many years ago now.
Late 1990s that was, that he brought those cars out for the first time with the 750 Motor Club, and then they switched to another club as the one-make category gained momentum, and took momentum, a change there. That was Stephen Larkham up on the inside of Doug Carter, and he's made it through Agostini to go into 4th place.
Yeah, that was pretty good, wasn't it? Because Doug Carter was the one looking to make a position early in the lap, but Larkham's made the most of that to go through. The mechanic there, Larkham up to 4th. She said the Irish road sports front runner, multiple winner. So he is up a position. It was good to see at Croft some Scottish road sports racers out as well, wasn't it?
That's right.
Gordon Duncan was impressive at Croft, so perhaps we'll see them again as well later in the season, but it's great to have Steve Larkham back out for a second time this season with us in the Bikesports. Phil Brown's going back out of the pit lane. Now, how much of the race does he need to do to get classified as a finisher?
Well, he's at the moment 3 laps behind, isn't he? The race leader.
Yeah, so he should do. We did 11 laps earlier, so if he does 8 of 11, might be enough.
Yeah, probably will be just about to get classified.
But that is if all runs well, of course. Now, Larkham's going after Smart pretty strongly. Just done a PB, a 155.2, which is a good chunk quicker than he managed in qualifying this morning. So he's really coming on strong now. Is Larkham going after Alistair Smart, the driver from Hampshire, with more experience in the category. It's good to have new names like Larkham in.
He was pushing on there and ended up running a little bit wide on the exit of Palmer's, which has cost him a few lengths, I think, to Alistair Smart that time. But no, it's good to see him. He's going well here at Snetterton, a circuit that is more reminiscent of this of his regular haunts of Kirkstone than Anglesey, which he raced earlier in the season was, and both based on sort of airfield type layouts. In that Kirkstone and Snetterton both are. Kirkstone a shorter layout, about 1.5 miles, a sort of triangular layout with a chicane.
It's a much quicker circuit, I guess, this, isn't it, to wait for those venues?
Certainly it's quicker than Anglesey in terms of lap time. Anglesey's got one of the slowest average lap times in the country. Kirkstone's relatively quick because there's a couple of quick bends on it and some long straights.
Lots of corners to learn here nowadays.
Yeah, that's right.
2-minute lap just under. Leaders have gone through, gap 3.7 seconds, so it's staying around that. Interesting how it's gone differently to race 1. PR6s have entertained though. Doug Carter started to fall away, and that is because these two in front have got into the 54s now. And Alistair Smart did do that in race 1, but Stephen Larkham certainly did not. So his progress continues. So head down towards the Justin Wilson hairpin, which was renamed after Justin tragically lost his life a number of years ago now, but fondly remembered. Top driver in Formula Palmer Audi, wasn't he, in the late 1990s, before having a short-lived Formula 1 career, but then a much more successful career in the United States.
Yeah, and of course a particular affinity with Jonathan Palmer, who via MSV controls the Snetterton circuit. As we watch this battle rage on for 3rd position here. Alistair Smart, number 73, the yellow and black PR6. It's the red car with the white livery on it of Stephen Larkham just behind him. They're turning their way through and back onto the Bentley Straight once again. 3.7 seconds the gap between the two leaders. Charles Hall and Leon Morel, they're nearly half a minute now ahead of Alistair Smart in 3rd position. with Stephen Larkham only just behind him, of course, in 4th.
Morale sets the fastest lap, 1:51.34. Gap remains at 3 seconds between the top 2. How far the rest behind now? Some way. Smart and Larkham and Carter. They blast across the line now. There, Charles Hall is heading sort of on the parallel straight down towards Agostini, some half a minute ahead. It's got a bit of traffic to deal with, and that is, I think, Dom Langdon down, who goes a lap down. The driver only started racing in his 60s, but decided to buy a Radical SR3 and enjoy himself. And he's getting quicker as time goes on in this 2013 car with a 1500cc Hayabusa engine prepared by RJ Motorsport. Bad for 3rd, out of Palmer. Smart still ahead of Larkham, who dives to the inside. Alistair Smart brakes late and holds on. That was a first real effort we've seen, I think, for Steve Larkham to try and get himself onto the podium in this race with only a couple or 3 laps to go. And we did see or at least one of the earlier races sort of cut short by a few seconds. We may do again because we've got another race to go. And big moment for Larkham. We're getting towards curfew here at Snetterton. I think we'll be okay with one further race. That was a big moment here for Steve Larkham.
It was, and it's lost him quite a bit of time as a result of that. We've got 3 minutes left on the clock to go as Charles Hall goes across the line once again to start his 10th lap. And he now leads by 3.85 seconds over Leon Morel, who pulled out about 6/10 on that lap. Should tell you, for those of you watching on the live stream, the timing tower has frozen. A few technical difficulties there, so the gap between them is 3.85. 77 lead from 35 for Leon Morel in 2nd, 73 Alistair Smart in 3rd, 93 Stephen Larkham in 4th, Doug Carter number 5 is 5th, and 14 Kenzie Beecroft is 6th, and the 3rd car in Class B is number 86 Stephen Bell, as we watch the car of that is Leon Morel, isn't it? Yes, I was just confused by the back marker that's behind him.
Mark Grayson, who had the out of position start. Mark, who's 50 years of age, from London, been racing for 5 years, always in this championship, and nowadays racing this Radical SR3 RS with a 1500cc engine prepared by Valor Racing, who run a number of the cars in the category, including that man, Leon Morel, the 41-year-old carpet shop owner from Nottingham, who only started racing 3 years ago after success in radio control racing. There used to be a radio control racetrack just outside Snetterton here, didn't there? But I think that has changed more recently. There used to be a market outside Snetterton for a number of years, but now there's race teams and other businesses based just outside the venue.
Oh, and Morel's still pushing on there, isn't he? He was very crossed up at Murray's that time. So we are going to get one more lap. We are going to go the full distance then, as they go on to what will be their 11th and final lap of the race. 4.7 seconds now, possibly as a result of Hall having that moment at Murray's that time. The gap between the two leaders. There is Hall in the Mattel. It's been a good day so far for the for anything Mattel connected, with success for the Mattel Cars team in F1000 as well.
Yeah, that'll be good dinner, I suspect, over there, won't it? The squad run by Scott and Ian and Sharon Mattel. So they will have something to celebrate and look forward to tomorrow with a couple more F1000 races. See if their drivers can pick up some more victories there as well. Looks like for Charles Hall, he's going to have another car to lap. Possible new plans for next season for the team as well, which may well include Charles I'm not sure how official that is, so I better not say anything
Okay.
more. But do keep an eye on news, and of course they've got S1000 cars as well. So it's a busy old team nowadays, isn't it? A
Certainly
team
is.
that came out of father and son low-cost squad 10 years ago.
Well, more than that, Scott was a champion in low-cost racing, and went on to race in RGB, which became Sports 1000 and Bikesports as well. But here comes Charles Hall then in his final couple of corners now. He's through Coram for the final time, turns left out of Murray's, foot on the gas and heads up to the finish line, and he takes the checkered flag now to win once again in the 750 Motor Club Bikesports Championship.